Right.
Because I need to jump into another meeting. I wish you and Eddie and all people there and Jonathan a good time. And yeah, maybe I come back around 12 then.
Sam, how are you?
Okay, thank you. See you.
Hello.
Yes, Robert.
I was talking to Manuela. This is Sam. Okay.
Oh, Manuela, are you still here? No, I think she just left.
All right, fine.
Can I help you with anything then, Robert?
No, that's okay. There's just something I want to talk to Manuela about, but I'll send her a message. So it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do that. Good. So, Robert, question: if I stop sharing my screen, can you see my screen? Let me right now.
Yes, I can see a screen.
Yes. Okay. Perfect. Do you guys have a camera as well, by any chance? So then I can also see you. That will make it more personal.
Here we are.
Great. Nice to see you. All right. So, hi there. All right. So, how many people do you have with you in the room?
We're 2 now, but there are 2 more we're expecting, and then there's one of our other people who's supposed to be joining, who was joined online. We sent the link to other people.
Okay.
Is there somebody? How many people are on the call? There's somebody called the name Patrick.
So Patrick is not yet on the call. So we only have Eddie and the 2 of you here at the moment.
Sorry, Edwin. Yeah, Edwin, not Patrick. Edwin.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
So should we wait for more people to join, or do you think we can get started?
I think it's fair that you just get started.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. So yes, welcome, and really nice to meet you. So today what we're going to talk about is our second session of the GOBIZ program, which is part of the Making More Health program. So the title of the session was slightly different to how I eventually created the session for today. Originally, it was called Market Research and Business Ideas / Business Setup. But as I was putting together, the ideas and trying to structure the training for today, I thought it would be more sensible to actually talk about how to validate business ideas. The reason why I did that is I really wanted to build on what Johanna has done last time, and also pave the way for the next modules that will come later. So that's going to be the topic of today: how to validate business ideas. First, in terms of objectives, last time with Johanna, you've talked about what is a business and how to get business ideas. Today, what I'd like to do is introduce the concept of validation of business idea. I'd like us to train ourselves on how to use a framework to test business ideas, and also, I want to get to know you, and I want to have fun. So starting with this, since we're a very small group now, actually, I think that will make it like very, very, very personal, and we can be very flexible on how we run the session. So, I wanted to introduce myself. Who am I? Jonathan. So you see here the 2 flags, so German and French. So I am French, but I live in Germany for about 10 years now. So that means, with this, I like to enjoy what each country has to offer, which is from Germany, the pretzels, and from France, this is a champagne, right? Champagne and wine. On more of a private note, I'm a father of 2, so Joseph and Apolline. They are 3 and 4 years old, and they keep me busy enough. When I'm not working, I'm mainly taking care of them. Work wise, what my current position is, I'm leading the team at BoehringerIngelheim that is doing sales forecasting and reporting. So that's basically, and you'll see that's one of the elements in testing a business ID. What my team is in charge of is trying to estimate how much sales we're going to get for our different products. And before that, I was actually working in consulting in the area of marketing and sales. So I really like to combine, the marketing, sales, and the analytic capabilities, and that's why I actually really enjoy my current position. I've lived in several cities so far. So I was born and raised in Bordeaux, in the southwest of France. Then I did part of my studies in Hull, which is in the UK. And then I went to Germany for studies, and that's where I also started working in Frankfurt. I went back to Paris for a couple of years, and now I'm living in Wiesbaden, which is nearby where BoehringerIngelheim is. And I've been here for the past 5 years. And last, if you ask me about what's my passion or hobby, so that is it. And I don't know if this sport is big in Kenya, but this is rugby. Actually, do you know rugby in Kenya, or is that not popular?
It's extremely popular.
Is it? Oh, good. So actually now
it's popular, and both Robert and myself have been rugby players. Huh?
No, that's amazing. Which position do you play?
I'm a back row, but preferably an eighth man.
Okay.
I played center and wing.
No, that's amazing. Well, you probably see, how big I am. So actually I started as a hooker when I was a kid, because I was much, stronger, but not any taller. And then the other kids, continue to grow, and I stopped. So that's how I moved, from being a hooker to being a flanker, and then being a scrum half, because that's that's where I like to be, close to the pack. But unfortunately, nature didn't allow me to play anything else than scrum half, but still enjoyed it. No, that's really cool. So great. I mean, then over to you. I mean, Robert. Do you want to tell me about yourself and what you do? Tell me about yourself.
Okay. Yeah. My name is Robert. I'm a strategist by profession.
Yeah.
I have I did my MBA in strategic management, which I've then pursued as a profession, and also a social entrepreneur and a co-founder at Tendo.
Okay.
Yes.
And then I missed the name of the person who is sitting with you.
It's called Sam.
Sami.
Sam.
Sam. Great. So yeah, Sam, tell me about you.
Bonjour, Jonathan.
Bonjour. Tu parles français?
Je parle un peu. Moi, je m'appelle Sam.
Enchanté.
Je suis Kenyan.
Ouais.
I'll continue en anglais.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes. So I'm a co-founder of Tendo. I'm an Ashoka Fellow. I've been in social entrepreneurship for about 15 years. Previously in other, previously in enterprises dealing with health financing, microinsurance. I studied I got my first degree in accounting. Mm-hmm. I worked in finance, audit. I'm a professional accountant, but I then switched professions and went into advertising for some time, then back in insurance, and then went into social entrepreneurship. So that really is me. And played rugby for several years, retired several years ago.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I'm a father of four, three of them, adult, and one who's just turned 18.
Okay, good. So yeah, different stage in life.
Yes.
Yeah. No, good. Really nice to meet you, Sam. Great. Eddie?
Well, my name is Edwin Joshua. I'm a research scientist and analyst currently working at the Kenya.Medical Research Institute.
Sorry,
I'm
I
also
struggled a little bit
doing
to
my
hear you,
bachelor's
Eddie.
in medicine and surgery currently at the University of Nairobi. I'm not married. And basically, that is the short story about me. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry, Eddie. I'm struggling a little bit to hear you. I heard you're an analyst, but I didn't get the rest. Can you try again, please?
Well, okay, thank you for. I'm sorry because I had issues with connectivity. Yes, my name is Edwin Joshua.
Yes.
Currently, I'm a research scientist and analyst at Kenya.Medical Research Institute in Nairobi. I'm also on my bachelor's in medicine and surgery program, practicing currently at the University of Nairobi. I'm not married. That is just the short story about me. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, good. So I understand you're more from the scientific background, not so much from business background. Is that correct?
It has been health background as in
Yeah.
master.
No, okay. Perfect. All right, good. And actually, I wanted to know, so what are your expectations? And maybe we can go around the table. What are your expectations for today's session? Because I prepared something, right? But I'm also flexible to amend it as we go. So, yeah, do you have any specific questions you'd like to answer today? Let's start with Eddie, maybe, and then we'll go for Sam and Robert.
Personally, I may not have a specific question, but my expectation is at least to learn something new because I believe in the world of wisdom. Each and every day is a single day of learning. So I'm here purposely to hear from experts like you and many other experts in this platform so that we can get to learn together. Thank you.
All right, good. So with that regard, if when I start showing you what I had planned, if you see that this is not necessarily new, then let me know, and then we can make sure that we're making the best use of our time. All right. Sam and Robert, on your side, do you have any specific expectation for the session today? Or any?
All right. Maybe I can speak for Tendo, for both of us, if that's okay. I think for us, Tendo is a fairly young organization, and we are in the process of setting up various structures, and key among them really is sales and marketing. Right. Whereas, there are things that we covered in the last session, and we also have some experience in business, but we always feel that there is opportunity to learn and to improve. Particularly right now, one of the tasks that we're trying to do is to put together a strategic sales and marketing strategy. And we're quite happy to hear that really that's an area in which you have interest and strength. So essentially what our expectation is that in putting together our sales, our marketing strategy, our overall business strategy, as we research the market to look at different market segments that can be able to help us to identify new customers, we feel that this engagement can actually be very useful.
Sorry, I just accepted Sam. So now we have two microphones. Yes, I think now should be better.
All right, I think it's my laptop. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So okay, how to put a sales and marketing strategy together. So that's what you're more interested about. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And really any other ideas. And when you mentioned research, we're looking at part of what we have to do right now is do some, but specifically marketing research to identify, our, who we should really target in the different market segments. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. So thank you very much, and that's very good that you're clarifying. What you like to learn about. So today actually was.
We just enjoyed by somebody else, Patrick.
Hi, Patrick.
Hello.
Nice to meet you, Patrick. Actually, Patrick, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Just introduce yourself, who you are, what you do. Just move a bit closer. That's it.
Okay, so sorry, actually, I think you're frozen. Is it on my side or Eddie, can you still hear me? Eddie, can you hear me or did I lose everyone?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So then it's on Sam and Robert's side that it's freezing. Let's give them a second to reconnect. Okay, let's just give them a second to come back. Yeah, they are. Hi, guys. Can you hear us?
Hi, sorry. Can you hear us?
No problem. Hey, look, if the bandwidth is bad and you need to turn up the camera, I think that's also fine. I just see that yeah, I do see where the rugby player was looking at the shoulders of the number 8. But yeah, if you need to turn off the camera, I think that's okay. So then we can have maybe a more stable connection.
I want Patrick to introduce himself. Hello?
Yeah. Patrick, do you want to introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Patrick Oyugi, one of the group members.
Say more about yourself. What do you do? What's your background? What have you studied?
Okay, I've done electrical engineering
electrical and electronics engineering. But for now, I'm just hustling.
Okay, so sorry, I'm missing it a little bit. You're a bit far away, Patrick.
Yeah, we should probably just move back. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind repeating what you just said?
Okay, I'm Patrick Oyugi. I've done electrical and electronics engineering from Laneway Training Institute.
All right. And okay, good, great. So thank you very much. And so trying to look back to the expectation, and I think so I take what you just mentioned, that you want to know a bit more about sales and marketing strategy. What I would suggest is, let's go through what I had put together, and then we can do a deeper dive into this topic when we get there, right? So let me share my screen. And okay, guys, this is a very small group. So I thought we would be like much bigger group. So I had scheduled different groups and so on. So I think we can all stay together. And I think that's actually a real good opportunity, because you can interrupt me whenever, ask questions, and we really do it tailor-made on your needs for today. How does that sound?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Perfect. Okay, good. So, all right. Oh, yes, go ahead. No? Okay, good. Okay. So here's the agenda for today. So welcome introduction. I'll do a quick recap of what was presented at the last session. Then we'll have to select a business ID together, so the group building part will be easy. And then we'll go into some details about the business model canvas that I wanted to cover today. We'll do a first part of working on the business model canvas, and then we'll have interactive session here, and then we'll cover the second part of the canvas. And yeah, and this was the agenda as I thought of it, having different groups, but because we're one group, I think we can just go through it fairly in a fairly flexible way. So building on what my colleague Joanna had presented last time. Were you here at the last session, by the way? Yes, I think you said yes on the room with Sam, Robert, and Patrick, and Eddie. You were here as well, or not?
So just repeat your question.
I was.
Okay, so Eddie, you were there, and Sam and the rest of the group, you were also there at the last session, right? Yeah. Sam and Robert and Patrick?
Sorry, what did you ask?
Yes. So were you there at the last session with Joanna?
Yes, yes, you were all here.
Okay, perfect. So then I'll go fairly quickly over this. So what Joanna was covering, and I think that's pretty, it may be already known to all of you, since you have some background in business. So a business, let's just remind ourselves that a business is about selling a product or a service that people need, right? So it can generate profits. So, and one thing which is very important is how do you optimize your business as you move forward. So business is about selling, so that means there needs to be monetary transaction, so people need to be willing to give you money for something that people need. So if people need to pay something, then it really needs to meet an unmet need. And actually, it really sounds silly, but I have built a business myself where I missed that part. Even though I've done, business school and so on and so forth, but actually I was so passionate about my own topic that actually I missed that part. And looking back, I could have spared a lot of my time and effort building, that business if I had really been honest with myself about whether the business I was building was truly meeting an unmet need that people were willing to pay for. So that's why I really want to stress this one as the most important topic, of today. Then the business needs to generate profit, so which means the revenues need to be higher than the costs. And the second really important thing here is about optimization, because a situation can be what it is when you start a business or when you first build your assumptions, but then optimization is what will allow you to go from a business idea that may collapse within a few months to a successful business idea that will be sustainable over time. So optimizing revenue, optimizing costs and products is what will make a business sustainable over time. And I heard you talking about, marketing, sales, and market segments, and that's something which I think, is one of the optimization elements that we need to test, learn, and then challenge ourselves on, as we move forward. So this is, in a nutshell, like a very quick recap of what was the last session about. Now, the question for today is, how do we validate business ideas? So as I was putting these few slides together, I was really seeing that there are essentially two steps in the validation of a business idea. The first one is to build your assumption. Basically, challenge yourself to put together something that actually makes sense. And for here, the objective is to apply a structured thinking process to assess if your business idea could be developed into an actual sustainable business or whether it's just a nice idea, right? And here, I think I cannot stress enough that this is very critical, that people are being honest with themselves about, is an idea good for business? Having an idea that is just good for yourself doesn't make it a sustainable business. And for this, the tool that we're going to look at today is the business model canvas. And that will be the focus of today. The second step in validation of a business idea is actually to validate your assumptions externally. And here, what you need to do is you need to test your assumptions with external stakeholders. So ask your customers what the unmet need really is, and if they would buy your value proposition. We can make our assumptions about what a good product could be, but you need to get it, to hear it from your customer that they would actually be willing to put money on the table to buy that solution. Second point is ask your suppliers to validate your cost assumptions. As I said in the previous slide, the business needs to be profitable. So you need to have valid assumptions, both for how much money you're going to make, but also how much money the business is going to cost you. And third, ask experts or experienced people whether your ideas has legs and if you missed anything along the way. And that's step two, like the tool here will be market research. And market research can take several aspects, but I would say, the first one is go and talk to the people who have the knowledge. All right, I'll just pause here for a second. Is there any question on what I just mentioned? And does that resonate with your experience?
No questions from our side. I think it's quite clear. Patrick, anything you want to ask?
Okay, good. Good. So today let's review the business model canvas. and then we and then we'll move forward. But before we do that, so what Joanna told me is that as a conclusion of her last session, she was asking you guys to start thinking of business ideas that we could start. And I see here that in Tendo you have various structures that you're trying to set up, and maybe you have several business ideas that you like to set up. So yeah, what I like to do today is actually to select one idea that we can use as as a use case for testing the business canvas. So can you tell me a bit more about what you do in Tendo, and yeah, what kind of business ideas you'd like to test today?
Right. I think the point here is that, yeah, whereas at the end of last meeting, it was discussed that we should set up a business idea. But here we are in a business that we've started, and it's in its young, it's in early stages, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so we will use that as the, as the business idea, hoping that some of the things that we are going to discuss can actually help to improve the business.
Yeah.
But then for the others in the group, it can also help to set up a new business.
Okay, understood. So tell me more, what is this business that is early stage that you want to further develop?
Yeah, Tendo is a social enterprise. The business model is that we have an operation in an urban, I'll call it an urban slum,
Yeah.
where we work with women and youth to develop various products. So we research on and develop and manufacture various cleaning and cosmetic products.
Mm-hmm.
Products are produced the highest quality. They're then certified by the government. We do have some good branding on the products. And the idea then is for us to have the members of the group, both the youth, the women, the rest, to have an income.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that you earn their income is, one, by being trained in production, so that the cost of production, that is money that is then paid to members to do the production. And then we look for distribution channels, and the members are then given a commission on all the sales that they make. They can make direct sales, retail. They can identify various corporate organizations to whom we can sell, and any sales that go through them at the channel, they earn a commission.
Okay.
But the business then retains a certain amount, and which is then plowed back into the business.
Okay.
So the task to ensure that there's sustainability for the business, that you can make margins that can enable it to be sustainable, whilst at the same time there's income that is going to the individual members.
Okay. So essentially what I understand is Tendo is a business that will produce certain goods, right? And sell those goods via the channel of the members, being the sales people that will get a commission.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
and then yeah, I mean part of the benefit goes to the sales people, and the rest to Tendo as the producer, right?
Yes, and then whichever, and there's a part that goes to also as a cost of labor to those who do the production work.
Yes. Okay. And those who are producing, are these Tendo members as well?
Yes, they're all Tendo members.
Okay, good. So okay, so part of the benefit goes to I mean, basically Tendo makes makes profit, and the profit is retained within Tendo to be able to reinvest in other activities. But the profit will be basically the revenue minus the cost of goods sold that you give to the producers, and the cost of sales that you give to the members. Makes sense? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good. All right, production. Then else. All right, good. So okay, so let's take this as our ID, which is basically to optimize Tendo, and let's see if the canvas can help us to structure that ID, and also to optimize the business. Let me share again here. All right. So I'll just create a new slide here, which will be trying to summarize what I just heard. So Tendo. So Tendo is a business that aims at producing cleaning and cosmetics goods. Production is so, and you said in how was it, urban area, and then the production is done by members, and sales is done by members. So okay, who are paid for, and then who are commissioned, and then remaining profit goes to Tendo. Is that a fair summary?
Yes, it goes to Tendo. It's reinvested for the expansion of for sustaining the business. Yes.
Invested in expansion of the. Great. Okay, brilliant. So let's look at the canvas. So when I was preparing for today, I actually look at different models, and there are multiple models that exist out there to or framework to test business ideas. So there is the business model canvas, there is the lean canvas, startup green methodology, RNA startup validation framework, and then I think the list is fairly long, right? What I did today, I actually used the first one, so the business model canvas, that I had adapted slightly, because there were a couple of good nuggets that I found in some other framework, which I thought are actually essential. So, I just took the liberty of, taking, I would say, 90% of the business model canvas, and then, adding my own sauce to this canvas to, because I think it makes really sense. So first, what is the business model canvas? This is a strategic management tool that provides a visual framework for developing and documenting business models, right? So I think what is important when we think of building business is to be clear and simple in how to articulate the business. And I think having one page that summarizes it all is actually harder than we think, because when we think of business, we tend to go into a lot of details, but then being able to summarize everything in one page, I think is very important for yourself to have clarity about where you want to drive the business. This type of canvas helps entrepreneurs to map out the key component of their business on a single page and make it easier to understand and communicate the business model. Right? So here is the overall canvas that has nine different buckets that we will cover today. But we will do that in a stepwise approach. So first, we will cover 0, 1, 2, 3, which are more on the side of, how do we generate revenues? And so what is the problem? Who are the customers? What is the value proposition? How do we generate revenue? The second part of the deep dive will be more on what is the cost structure. And then once we have the two, that's when we can, start doing some financial planning. Okay? So starting with here, the first element. All right, I see we have someone else joining. Give me a second. Hi, good morning, Cindy. Can you hear us, Cindy? If you're speaking, you're on mute. Okay, Cindy, whenever you can hear us and speak, then just speak up. Right now, I'll just I'll continue until I can hear you. So yeah, as I was saying in the introduction, the first and foremost element that every business needs to have very clear is what is the problem that we're trying to solve? What is the unmet need that we're trying to meet? Here, one thing which is very important is the problem important enough to your customers for them to be willing to pay to solve it? And the second question, which is very important, is what are the weaknesses of existing alternatives? So then we can position our brand, we can position our products in a differentiated manner to address what the competition can do. And for this, when we try to formulate, what the problem statement is, what we need to think of is my customers struggle with something, right? And the current alternatives, they fail to do X, Y, Z. If we manage to identify these very clearly, then we can position ourselves to actually solve those problems, and then we have a competitive advantage. Okay?
Okay.
Second element is talking about customers. So who will be the customers? So here, thinking of Tendo, who are our customers? And do we have different customer types? I heard you talking about customer segments. That's exactly what we're talking about here. What are the different customer segments? And do we have a different relationship with our different customers? The next question, which I used a lot when I was in marketing for our own assets here in Boehringer, is who will be our early adopters and who will be the aspirational customers? What you want to do at the beginning of a business is you want to generate revenue fast. So you need to identify who are those people who will, from the get-go, be saying like, yes, that's great, let's go, let's do business. And then don't waste your time with some others who are, yet to be convinced, they're not sure, let's see, and so on. Those guys, you can try to capture them later on, right? But you need to focus your efforts on where you're going to get, the first revenue that will allow you to go then, to the next stage and expand. All right. Then once you have identified your customers, you need to define a value proposition that makes sense to them. So what value do you deliver to your different customer types? And which one of your customers' problem we're trying to solve? Different customers may actually have different problems, right? And one market segment may be looking for something cheap. Another market segment may be looking for something of high quality, independently from the price, right? So those are the things that you need to understand. So what are the needs of the different customers, and what will be your value proposition for the different customers? And what are the products and service that we're offering? And the last point of this first part will be revenue streams. So a very important element is your customers may be motivated to pay for your product or services. The question is, what will be the optimal price? So how much are your customers willing to pay? And also, how do you optimize your price with the price and volume dynamic? Maybe you will be more profitable if you sell less product, but to a smaller a smaller customer base who is willing to put higher price for higher quality. On the other hand, you may actually generate more revenue if you lower the price, and then your customer base will expand a lot, right? So those are the questions that you need to think of. And I'm trying to admit Cindy again. Is Cindy from Tendo as well? Hi, good morning, Cindy.
Yes, she's from Tendo.
Okay, great. Cindy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can now. I couldn't before. Now I can. Thank you.
Brilliant, brilliant. Welcome, Cindy. So we got started in the interest of time, but maybe just as a very quick recap, what we're trying to do today is we are using a framework to validate business ideas. In this context, and given that we have only Tendo attendance today, then we're focused on the Tendo business and trying to see if that business canvas can help to optimize the Tendo business model. Okay, so we got started with the 4 elements which are on screen. So defining the problem, identifying the customers, defining the value propositions, and estimating the revenue streams. So with this, so I actually had an example of a beekeeping business, but I think given that we're a small group, I would probably jump straight into trying to fill this type of business canvas for Tendo and see how we lead the discussions from there. Before we do that, just a couple of additional points on the problem and the unmet need. So here, I think what we need to think of is to define the problem and the unmet need. We need to use something like this sentence. Our customers struggle to buy something or yes, do something, and the current alternatives fail to do something else, right? Once we have the problem identified, then our value proposition will be that we provide the offer to this type of customer group so that they have a certain benefit. All right. So let's move on straight to business canvas, and let's work together on trying to define it for Tendo if that works for you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sure.
Right. There's something we've been struggling struggling with, and yeah, the idea of the value proposition. And is it possible to actually have more than one value proposition?
Yes. Yes. I would say a value proposition should be, well, I mean, you could argue with the terminology whether you have different value propositions or different positionings, but from my perspective, at the end, what matters is that one product or one service is solving one customer problem, right? So I would say yes, you can have different value propositions if you have different customers needs. So let's say I see, you know, on the background here you have Tendo bleach, Tendo softener, and you know, hand wash and so on. You could have two different brands with two different value proposition if they're serving two different customer needs. So from my perspective, you know, when you have an organization that has a portfolio of products, each product needs to have its own value proposition.
Okay. Now, I appreciate that. Thank you. Now, the other part of our value proposition definition is that we are working with vulnerable groups in society. So we are also trying to, we are aiming to create some social impact, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So here we are providing, you know, products that meet, you know, customers' needs, and they are of high quality. But for certain market segments, the idea that we are working with vulnerable communities and creating social impact is also a value proposition. So so we're trying to see how to position, you know, the two propositions to go side by side. And what we've been wondering is, would they actually go side by side, or is it that there's one that appeals maybe to a different, you know, a different customer base, a different market segment?
So maybe here is a perspective. I think so. I think we need to think of the business as an organization that is trying to make profit. Now, while you're doing this, you can do this by working with vulnerable communities, right? And that might be, let's say, the purpose of your organization is, you know, to improve the condition of those vulnerable communities. But the business objective and the value proposition is actually to create a product that is answering an unmet need to generate profits, right? So
Right.
I see this as, you know, one is, you know, let's say really the business side of things, and the other one is the social side of things. So the business tries to generate profit by working with those communities to improve their condition.
Right.
In here, I would probably try to. So, if we see that, you know, basically to improve the condition of the communities, we need to have a business that sells product that is sustainable. I would probably try to dissociate the two to first, you know, identify how do we make, you know, the profit, and making the profit will allow us to improve the condition of the vulnerable communities. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
And actually, one element, and I don't know, you know, if that's from even thinking about the marketing perspective, that's something that, you know, is will be valued by the customers. But if producing things, locally with, the vulnerable communities that you're mentioning is something that the customers is actually willing to support, then that can totally be part of your value proposition. As an example, here in Europe, one big marketing trend is actually to consume goods which are produced locally, to avoid that, having carbon footprint of importing goods, from China and so on and so forth. And, an organization could say, well, our aim is actually to reduce the carbon footprint and to employ local people. But actually, if the customers are valuing these things and willing to pay for it, then I would say, let's put it into the value proposition and say, look, by buying, Tendo Bleach, you're not just buying a very good product that will, whiten and clean where you need to clean, but actually you'll be contributing to helping the people around you. And that could be a reason for people to buy Tendo Bleach and not like a competitor's product. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So how would
Yes.
we try to phrase the whole thing here? So let's start with the problem and the unmet needs. So you guys are producing cleaning products. What is cleaning and cosmetics? I understood. So yeah, what is the unmet need that your product is meeting, which cannot be addressed by competitors?
All right. I think let's talk about the unmet need. Although there's a lot of competition in the business, but it is that let's just consult here, Robert. Right. In fact, let's leave the cosmetic side is actually quite small, but the bigger one is these cleaning products. Now, you offer cleaning solutions. Where the need is for a need to clean. I mean, where there's, people have a dirty environment, a dirty home, and they need, there's poor hygiene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. And therefore, we are saying that these are products then that are targeting to clean the environment, clean the home, clean your clothes, improve your health, improve your hygiene.
Yeah. So that I totally understand. Now, what would be, so I don't know who the competition is in these markets. So yeah, can you tell me, like, what are the existing alternatives? I mean, if they don't buy Tendo, what can they what else can they buy?
The competition?
Yeah.
There's a lot of industrial manufacturers of these products, like of Unilever, and then there's also some local manufacturing of the products. But we figured out that despite the presence of that competition, the market is large enough to accommodate us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And provided we also do some differentiation, that can be able to, and that's why we wanted to also sell the social side as an emotive
yeah. I understand. And so thinking of the customers, do you have any idea about, because you're right, I mean, the cleaning product market is a big market, is competitive, but people need to buy something, right? So now the question is, what will be the motives of the different customer groups, and who can we target within this big market, right? So do you know if there are certain customer types that will be more valuing the social side of that is actually your differentiation, right? I mean, if you don't buy Persil or Ariel, I don't know what's the name of these brands, in Kenya, but these Unilever, type of brands, then you can buy Tendo, because of the social side of things, right? But what are, do you know if what are the customer types or the customer segments that may value what you have to offer?
Right. In terms of the customer types, well, what we have found out is, we have, there's just a general, retail market to members of our various social groups, have been happy with the product. But if we're looking at bigger market segments, then we would be talking about targeting the likes of, say, large corporate organizations who have, as part of their social business, yeah, yes, corporate responsibility and social business. We see that as maybe being the one thing that can, can be can differentiate us, if I can say that, because there's Persil, and then there's Tendo, right? We may be, and price may not be a basis upon which we can actually compete, because whereas we have low production costs, but some of these large organizations, are able to, because of their volumes, to sometimes have very low prices. So we're trying to go into markets of, we see that for our very large corporate markets, we would need to have this social side as a right for the brand to ride on. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Yeah. You're making a lot of sense. I'm just trying to process and think. Okay, so basically, I mean, in terms of problem or unmet need, what we're trying to solve is, I mean, there is no problem for people to buy cleaning products because they can buy it from anyone. However, what we could say is, let's say, customer struggle to find cleaning products that are produced locally, yes, and have a positive social impact.
Excellent.
Right?
Very
That-
good. Yeah.
So here we're already having like a very differentiated value proposition, in a sense that we're really not trying to address the entire market, but only the customers who are actually valuing and want to have a positive impact locally. So that's good. Okay. So from customers, what you were saying is, so let's go back here quickly. Okay, what are the weaknesses of existing alternatives? And here I would say, okay, alternative, so existing alternatives don't, promote local social impact.
Right.
Do you have actually competitors that are doing exactly the same thing? So, other social business that are doing the same product?
No, that's where we think we have an advantage.
Okay.
Because, we do have an advantage.
Okay.
What
Really.
we've just find is what we've been having a challenge with, because yes, you can go to any shop and buy these cleaning products, but then how many of them are actually local, made by communities such as ours, and who can also which can then create social impact.
Okay, that's really cool. So then, in terms of customer, you were starting to allude to this. So I mean, there are different customer types. The question here of the early adopters will be very important. So they are, on the one hand, let's say, the business to business type of customer, right? So business to business, and those are like the enterprises that would value something like this. And then there are the business to consumer type of business, where you would actually go more into the retail type of shops. And also knowing that you don't have a price advantage, you probably cannot differentiate necessarily on the quality either, but really more on this social aspect. Okay, I see Kevin is joining us. Give me a second.
Who?
Kevin. Hi, good morning, Kevin. Kevin, can you hear?
Hello?
Hi there.
Yes, I can get you. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. This is Jonathan. I'm your host for today from Boehringer. Kevin,
Sorry?
I said
Yes, I'm getting you.
great. Kevin, are you also from Tendo?
Yes, I'm from the Tendo group.
Okay, brilliant. So we got started, and now we're using Business Canva to refine the business model, or at least put it on paper for Tendo. I hope you can see my screen, and I hope you can follow the discussion. If there is anything unclear, then feel free to interrupt me. We're a very small group, so we can all just speak up whenever you want. Okay.
All right, sure.
All right, good. So okay, so you have the two businesses, right, with the B2B and B2C. Did you try to address the two businesses so far, or not, Sam?
We have both of them.
Okay. And did you manage to find some early adopters of some customer types that will be more keen to buy your product?
Yes.
Okay, who are those?
All right. Let's start B2C. Let's look at, of course, you have members and their families. We belong to different various churches. So when we go, members of our churches, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. And then when we go to B2B, we have been able to identify, of course, through various connections, but, for example, some, once again, some churches, and, schools, and some, health facilities, hospitals.
Okay. One question, because here what you're saying is, so you cannot compete on costs because you don't have the economies of scales. On the different attributes of the products, I think it will be fairly differentiated. At the end, a bleach product is a bleach product, and it's cleaning. So as long as you have a certain quality standard, then you can't differentiate on that. Would there be an interest of actually trying to target some customers who have more, let's say, buying power, or that can afford higher prices, so long as they're motivated to actually contribute to local communities?
Exactly, yes. We have been, it is something that we've recently been discussing, that we cannot compete on price, particularly we cannot compete on low price.
Yeah.
But that there is actually the possibility of putting a premium. Yeah, there are people who value, high priced products, particularly if that means that, if it's a social product, right? So there are people, philanthropists, non-governmental organizations, people like those, who may be able to actually pay a premium price, provided they know that this is a social business.
Yes. Yes. And to be honest, I mean, this is a marketing that is very successful here in Europe. I was thinking of when I went shopping when I was living in Paris. I always bought. So we have a fruit juice, right? And you can have either the fruit juice, which is the industrial one, made by a big company, or next to it you have the one that is done by a local producers who has his picture, on the bottle. And basically, the producer lives like 20 kilometers from where I was actually buying it. So then, I knew it was local, it was fresh, and it was, even personalized with, actually the picture of the guy who is actually pressing the juice, right? The apple juice. And I think, I don't know in Kenya, what's the market like, and if people would, some people would be motivated by this. But actually, back then, I was willing to put a price premium to buy something fresh that is not, coming from Spain, like another country, right? So I think that's definitely a marketing strategy that can be very helpful. The only thing is we need to look at, how can we identify those customers? But maybe, let's hold that thought for a second. So we could say our customers are, so B2B, or let's say organization or consumers who are willing to pay a price premium for a product that contributes to support local communities.
Excellent.
Yeah?
Very good.
Good. So our value proposition would be, what are the different attributes that are part of the decision making of a consumer? So we talked about price, quality, then social or social benefit. Is there something about distribution? So I'm thinking of the consumer, so that they can find it in the shops nearby.
Yes, I mean, I think we can have a different distribution model.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to see how to actually differentiate that from the regular distribution channels.
And maybe you don't need to actually differentiate that. Maybe you just need to ensure that you're at the same selling points as the competition. So then, I don't know if you have like small shops or supermarkets or something like this, but then, people can actually choose and have, some people would like to see the Unilever type of product, and some people would like to buy Tendo instead. So I don't know.
I think that is something we can look at as our volumes grow. Obviously, one of the challenges with going into supermarkets is the fact that they require large volumes and they require long credit periods. But there are many sort of local retail or neighborhood supermarkets, small neighborhood shops. I think one can start with those.
Yeah, and that might be then, as you said, you start with mid-size shops, right, where you can have good good conditions in terms of credit terms and so on, and that doesn't require too high of a volume. Because I'm with you. If you commit to big supermarkets and you can't deliver the volumes, then you'll breach the trust, and then they wouldn't do business with you anymore. So better to start like with some smaller ones. Are there some distribution points or retail points that are actually part of their own value proposition, saying we're buying goods from local entrepreneurs and we're favoring this? Is that something that exists in Kenya in terms of distribution channels?
Yeah, they exist. They're small, but they do exist, and it's something that we definitely need to pursue. Because I think I can see that most of our business would be going through those channels rather than the traditional, wholesalers and distributors. Yeah, I mean those I don't see us making much traction from the traditional channels.
Okay. Yeah, which then will pose an additional hurdle, which is if you don't go through wholesalers, then you need to have like salespeople who go individually to those retailers, right?
Well, I think what I'm saying is we will not leave them out, completely, but given the sort of working capital requirement, you have to wait. I think they pay you after 60 days or sometimes after 90 days or something. It may be better to pursue these other channels where one can be sure of getting your money faster, the sales, your cash faster.
Yeah.
It may even give us the opportunity of actually selling at a higher price.
Yeah. In direct sales to I'm just capturing these two smaller retails cities that okay, understood. So, all right. So back to our value proposition. So what we provide. So we provide cleaning products to customers who want to support local communities, or let's say, here you can go with a high quality products, who wants to support local community. So what would be the benefit for the customer of buying Tendo and not another one? What would be the emotional benefit?
Yeah, the emotional benefit. What emotional benefit? Somebody knows that they're buying products which are made by people who family supporting young. Yeah, to feel like that. Products made by the other communities. So if you look at, sorry, we're just consulting.
Yeah, sure.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's we cannot make assumptions, particularly about people's emotions, but from what we know, in fact, there are some high-end shops and malls where you find that there actually are products, not there are products, crafts and other things, even soaps and things like that, that are very highly priced, but you then find a message about them being social products. So there is a market. What we have to do is to identify how to actually position our products in those markets and how to reach those markets.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. I think that's definitely true, and we need to think of the brand image, the positioning, and so on. About this, to tap into this market. Here, just to finish the sentence, I was thinking, as you were consulting, I think, the general feeling is that they feel their purchase is helping, a greater cause or something like this, right? So something of that kind, that basically by buying Tendo and not buying something else, then you're helping the communities. Now I'd like to come back to what you just mentioned, which is this positioning of craftsmanship, right?
Sorry, you said positioning of?
Craftsmanship. I don't know if that's the word in English, but like saying that,
yes.
Yeah, something is not industrial, right?
Yeah.
That's really like a branding element as well, right? Which is look around, at those brands and the image that they have, when you go to a supermarket, and maybe that's a thing as well that you need to think of in terms of your strategic positioning. How do you want your product to look like? And then also ask people, when you see that type of product and that type of product, what comes, to your mind, right? Because you need to be able to define your own space. And if I think back, of my experience with the apple juice when I was in France, the two apple juice bottles had very distinct visuals, right? One of them was was shiny, bright color, and the thing that you see on TV, and the things that I've seen on TV since I was a kid, right? And the other one was much more like kind of this beige type of colors, looking like the label was made in recycled type of paper, and the things were looking like if my mom was actually making the apple juice in her own kitchen. You know what I mean? So just by looking at the packaging, I had like this very clear notion in my mind. This one is the industrial product, and that one is the one that is handmade by someone next door, right? So if you feel that there is a like a market for going more for the handcrafted type of positioning, then the whole packaging will need to follow that thought. But maybe before actually going and investing in different packaging and so on, I mean, those are the things that you would need to test with some customers and consumers to see whether they would buy one positioning versus the other positioning.
Okay.
So you say you have I mean, the business is already starting and running. Did you manage to get some feedback from your customers about the product and why they're buying the product?
Well, most of the people who have bought have really bought because they're really some of them are almost shocked that a product of such high quality can be made locally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the fact that it's a local product, but of high quality, you know, they feel that it's satisfying their purchase needs, yeah, while also, buying something that is made by the community. Yeah. So we've been working on both propositions, ensuring that the product is good, that is actually very good.
Yeah.
Make sure that it is, it is fairly priced, it's competitively priced. And then because of the people who are selling it, and then that also then makes people know that it's actually supporting the community. But one of the things we are working on right now is to have a very distinct, clear message in our marketing material and on the labels about this social, about that social and emotional component. We want to ensure that that is very well clearly stated in our marketing material and on the labels.
Yeah. So, okay. So how do you do to actually, come up with these concepts and testing those, marketing concepts? Are you accompanied by, agencies? How does that work? Or you do things yourself?
Well, at the moment, because we are small with very, very, very low budgets, so we're not really able to engage agencies. So right now, it's just what we do ourselves.
Okay. I've been through it myself as well with my own, small business, where it was funny because at the same time I was, working for Boehringer and had a small business aside that I was testing. And I saw the two worlds, what the world look like when you have funds and when you don't. and yeah, then you need to think of smart ways of testing ideas without a lot of money. And maybe here, yeah, what you can do is piggyback on other type of branding concepts from other competitors, and try to identify, what would be the direction that would actually motivate your customers the most and would speak for itself. And then you probably have like 2 or 3 different concepts, and then show that to different customers that you can trust and see whether one is working better than another. But I do think, I'm with you. Yeah, there should be a sweet spot where you can strategically position yourself. All right, good.
Yeah. If it's okay with you, after this, we can be able to share maybe some material, what we already have, and you also be able to give us some ideas. Feedback.
I would love to. Thanks a lot. Yeah. All right, good. So maybe just trying to move forward on the canvas. So okay, now I think we have a fairly good value proposition. Probably the wordsmithing, needs to be worked on to really convey this message of high quality made locally, right? I think that's, yeah, and maybe you can even write it here, is high quality made locally. Yeah, and maybe you can try to play with this string of local pride and yeah, I don't know how it is in Kenya, but I can speak, being a Frenchman myself, French people are really proud of their country, right? And if you ask a French person, they will tell you this is the best country of the world. But if you ask an Italian person, they will tell you it's the best country in the world, and so on and so forth. So, if you can, maybe play as well, I don't know if that's something that will resonate in Kenya, right? But with these things of, being like, locally and this pride of, developing something, by having something developed by the local community, I think that could be an angle that at least could be explored in market research. All right, so revenue stream now. Here, questions. So about the price, I think we've mentioned it, but again, this is, so we have some assumptions that we'll need to test as well in the market research. And then I'd like to go a little bit into, the notion of break even. So how much do we need to sell to cover the costs? Yeah, how much volume do we anticipate, and whether we can estimate the demand. So first thing first, so price. What would be your pricing strategy here?
Well, in terms of price, we decided that because we are new in the market, we had to be price ourselves at the bottom level of the market.
Okay.
For example, we have, say, a detergent, okay, and the detergent 500 ml, we are selling at multipurpose detergent at 100 shillings. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Robert, just tell us, what do some of the competitors sell theirs for?
There are some on the extreme that sell, there's some on the lower side that sell for 80, and there's some that sell between 120 to 200 shillings.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the sort of pricing philosophy across the various products.
Yeah. Okay. I see. And that's probably also because you haven't yet established your brand image of what people are actually buying when they buy Tendo. So there is a whole notion about value perceived based on price. So I could tell you the exact same thing for 100 or 200. The things that you will buy for 200, you will think it's of better value because
Yes.
you pay 200, and then you will convince yourself, well, actually it's 200, so it's much better, right? So I'm wondering whether when you think of your let's say positioning, whether you need to go more towards the high end of the price, but for this you need to go to customers who can afford to pay the high end price.
Yes, I think that is definitely something that we have to look at, because if we target and identify the some, would we call them, some niche markets, some then we can be able to then price it accordingly. But for as long as we are operating in the local retail B2C markets, price, people are very price sensitive.
Yeah, and I can understand that. But and then that would be two different markets, right? One will be like either going for volumes with a lower price, and the other one would be going for higher price and lower volumes.
And of course, those who are selling at 200, you know, they have their brand name, you know, to support that price.
Yeah. What type of brands would that be?
Well, I mean, you have, you know, I think for the international brand, you have things like, you know, your Persil, and if you have Omo, you know,
yeah.
say.
So those are the international brands from Unilever and so on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. For me, the more I'm thinking of all of this, and the more I'm thinking the key question is whether there is a market in Kenya for, you know, local, like local business, and what would be the things that people value, right? So you know, people who are willing to pay 200 for, let's say, Persil, would they pay 200 for Tendo? And if so, you know, what would we need to tell them?
I think that really is our key to success, being able to identify that market, because it exists. It definitely exists. I mean, in every country, that sort of market exists. But, you know, one needs to be able to speak to that market and, you know, identify it, speak to it, and deliver, you know, the products to it. Yeah. And it's something that we can, as part of our work, is to try and see, you know, markets are developed. So how can we develop that market?
Yeah. All right. So so here, what at Capture is currently we're at the low end of the market because the brand is not established. But then could we reposition to higher end? Yeah. Or let's say mid to high end. In terms of revenue, so how much do you need to sell per, I don't know, per month or per week to cover the costs?
Can I just repeat that?
How much do you need to sell to cover the costs, either per week or, you know, per month?
Well, if we consider the cost for, we have very minimal operational costs, but the key costs that we incur has to do with mostly purchasing the products, the purchasing and the making of the products, as well as the labor, which is not fairly expensive at the moment. So basically on a weekly, monthly, on a weekly basis, ideally, an ideal situation would be making at least 20,000 a week.
So sorry, you said 20,000 a month?
A week.
A week.
Ideally, in a yeah.
Okay. So need to the costs. And, are you at this type of levels right now or not yet?
So you said, have we tried to leverage?
No. Are you at this level at the moment, or because you're still starting? You that's not what you're selling.
No.
Okay. So
hello.
Yeah.
Sorry, just what was the question?
Yeah, I was asking, how much do you sell at the moment? Are you selling 18,000 shilling per month?
Yes, about 20,000 shillings a month.
So this is where you need to cover the costs. But are you already there? That's my question.
No, we're not already there. No.
Okay. And so, okay. And what would you need to get there? So, I don't know, like, that's not a market that I know very well. So, like, is it like you need to open new points of distribution, or like new big clients? Yeah. What would you? Yeah. I'm trying to understand, like, yeah, what is what is the gap that we need to close to get to that type of level?
See, we just need to sell more, and so we need to have the clear strategy for increasing our sales. One, we have not done much by way of any promotion or any advertising.
Yeah.
So we are developing some marketing material like the brochures and flyers. We need to, to actually identify, new markets. Yeah. Yeah. We've just been selling to, a few people, mostly, like the B2B that I mentioned, just 1, 3 or so, and a few retail customers who are people that are known to us. But what we need is to be able to now, open up these new markets. For example, having identified this social component of our value proposition, we need to then identify and actually approach those markets. Yeah. So I think there's just more marketing and selling activity that is required.
Yeah. So, okay. So when let's say when you say you're selling to a hospital, yeah, how much can you sell per week to a hospital, to give me a range of idea?
Yeah, you see, one hospital, if they take the 5 liters, that's just give it a second. Give it a second. I mean, just to give an idea, to make it, yeah, one hospital would probably buy the equivalent of 1,800 shillings in a week, right?
Okay.
So it means you need 10 hospitals to make your 18,000.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Yeah, and then because and you have to ensure that they buy, when they buy from you, when they buy from us, they do not, they repeat purchase, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. As you were, discussing with one another, I was thinking, who could be people who want like organization? Because I think you know, if you go in B2B, you're going to have higher volumes, and that may actually help you, you know, to get started, and then, you know, move to the retail business a bit more, to the B2C. So are there other, let's say, NGOs that have this purpose of, you know, developing local communities that are big enough and could actually be key accounts that you may want to unlock? The reason
Yes.
I'm saying this is because those organizations, they may be less sensitive to, let's say, a packaging, right? While a consumer, you know, may be very sensitive to a packaging. So, you know, it will be more expensive to convince, you know, a consumer base in B2C, because, you know, they may be more, you know, sensitive to, yeah, packaging and brochures and so on. Well, actually, B2B, you may have more opportunity to tell them your story, which costs less money in terms of marketing material. It's more about the speech that you're going to say, but creating a speech doesn't cost much money, right?
No.
And then the volumes you're going to, you know, you're going to sell are going to be a bit bigger. So are there any of these people that you can think of, or organization?
Yes, there are many. There are many corporate organizations, non-governmental organizations, and then even just apart from even commercial organizations, you may find that, you know, see, there's a requirement now for, you know, reporting for social business, right?
Yeah.
And therefore, what we need to do is to pitch ourselves as being able to be their social business partner, something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a question of identifying those NGOs, those NGOs, and these other commercial entities, but being able to pitch the business, you know, in a way that would get them to buy from us.
So I think, you know, this notion of, you know, being able to report, you know, on social and so on, you know, is one aspect that you can explore. One thing that I'm thinking of, and I don't know how big those organizations are, right? But if we think of, you know, mid to big size of organization, there may be different people actually taking care of making sure the overall organization is following some, you know, social engagement, and another person actually making the decisions about which soap or cleaning products they want to buy, right? I think the value in going for an organization whose purpose is actually to help the communities is that everybody who will work for that organization will have the same sense of wanting to contribute, you know, from the guy who is in charge of the reporting to the person who is in charge of actually buying the cleaning products. So maybe, you know, without necessarily going down the route of the reporting things, you know, if you tell that story to the person who's the decision maker for which cleaning products they buy, you know, you have higher chances of selling if you go to organizations that, you know, are by default, you know, trying to help the communities.
All right.
Yeah, it's just a perspective, right? So you know, feel free to test that as well, you know, after our call, you know, with some I don't know if you have a network of NGOs or something like this that you could tap into, where you'd go, you know, to the NGO next door and say like, okay, look, I know you're trying to do something good for these guys and so on, and you also need to buy cleaning products. You know, why, you know, if you would actually make something good by, you know, buying our cleaning products, that could be a way to sell as well.
Okay.
Yeah, good. All right, so back to the business canvas here. Yeah, I think estimating the demand is a thing that I'm currently struggling a little bit. But I think what you do is quite right. Try, think about maybe some, I don't know, how could you estimate the future demand? You need to have yeah.
I think that's an exercise we can do separately.
Yeah.
And actually look at the various, our various potential markets, and be able to come up with figures which are not just guesswork or wish list, but good estimates. I think that's something that we can do.
Yeah. And maybe you need to segment your market, between B2B and B2C, but also like in B2B, what is the size of the organization? What is the need in terms of cleaning products? Because, probably, health facilities have more needs in terms of, cleaning products than regular standard office business, right? Maybe, trying to identify what would be the value of that type of organization. So maybe health facilities, and maybe those one will be where you say, look, they have the highest needs, they want to contribute locally, so this is our target number one. Back to our discussion before about early adopters and aspirational customers. Maybe you say, okay, those ones would be the most profitable customers, so we go there first. Second one would be, let's say, the other NGOs, which may be some sort of office base or any other activities, right? And then you go for, let's say, identified points of retail, which may go for high-end, premium price product with this notion of local local sensitivities, right? I'll just write these just to capture the thought. So revenue. So when trying to estimate the potential revenues, segment the market. So I would say, for instance, so B2B health facilities, I need for cleaning products, maybe I would say lower price. I don't know. Yeah. Then yeah, because I doubt that the local health facilities, they buy things at 200 shilling. But if they
buy more like the 100.
Yeah, exactly. But nevertheless, if it can allow you to have some volumes to get the business started, I think it may be one value proposition that you give to the B2B business, which may be different than the one you give to the retail business, right?
Exactly.
B2B others, and then it would be regular needs for cleaning products. And here you may focus on larger organization, and then B2C. So here it would be more of a niche strategy to identify retail shops who sell high-end local craftsman crafted product. Yeah, just as examples. All right, I'd just like to make a quick pause here. So how do you think the discussion is going here? I mean, is that actually addressing your needs? Should we continue in that direction, or I mean, we still have 45 minutes, so we can also recenter if needed.
I think this is really, Robert, what do you think? This is really going the direction that we would have desired. We had got to the point where we needed to do this, and it's really good that, I mean, having this session with you has given us this great opportunity and this clear perspective.
Okay.
We want to maximize on. We don't know when we will see you again, so we would like to maximize on the time that we have.
Yeah. So let's call it a first date. When you meet a girl for the first time, and then if that works, then you can meet her again. So that's how I see our meeting today. If you think it's useful, then I would be happy to meet you again for a second date.
Oh yes, well, all right. Hopefully, it might even lead to marriage.
Well, let's see about this. I don't know what my wife will tell, but I guess if we have a good working relationship, I think that could be helpful. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
All right. So let's continue then. With this canvas, I think it's bringing some structure, which is quite helpful. So, okay. All right, so we've covered now problem, unmet need, customers, value proposition, and revenue streams. The next point that I wanted to cover are the activities. So this is more on the operational side. So what are the activities which are needed to deliver on our value proposition? What activities are needed for distribution channels? And how do we handle customer relationships? Then we're going to have to think of what are the resources that we need. So you alluded to it already with the raw material, do we need people with special skills? Do we need data? Do we need, I don't know, like a little factory actually to produce the clean products? So what are the resources that we need? And from this, we can go and investigate what is our cost structure. So here I see that you've already made, some progresses, and I think it's good to have an accountant in the team to help us with these questions. And what are the most important costs for the business? Which resources are the most expensive, and which activities are the most expensive? And more importantly, can we get things cheaper elsewhere? Right? This is back to this idea of optimizing the business. As you evolve, you may be able to get raw material for cheaper if you buy more volumes. You may be able to have more economies of scales on your fixed infrastructure if you get more volumes and so on.
Right.
And then there will be one element which is around stakeholders and partners. So who are partners, who are suppliers, and which resources are we acquiring from our partners, and which activities do partners perform? And the last one is around the channels and the communication. So how do we reach our customers? Does one channel work better than another? So there are quite a few things, and I'm not sure if in 45 minutes we'll cover all of them. But I'd probably suggest that we are actually we have two options here, because the channels is going a little bit more in the direction of communications and revenue generations. The activities, resources, and cost is more on the cost structures, and the partners also goes in the direction maybe of the distribution channels and so on. So would you be more keen now to discuss, let's say, channels and partners, or the cost structures and the activities and more the operations?
I think it's better to look at the channels and partners.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the channels and partners in terms of the resources, I think even if we run out of time now, those are things we can actually, work on, ourselves, and the resources and cost structures. I think it would be good to look at the channels.
Yeah. All right. Let's do that then. Let me copy these two right now. All right. You know what? I'll just put it here. Okay. So channels, as we mentioned, we have probably two types of business between B2B and B2C. Now the question is, how do we reach our customers? And what do we think would be, the optimal, the most efficient channels?
All right. We have actually, we've attempted to, we've been posting our activities on various social media channels. Although it's really been for information, but not as an active selling channels.
Yeah.
What we have been thinking of as the next step is to facilitate the structures that will enable us to actually be able to sell via those channels. For example, if we are on Facebook, we give a number, somebody calls that number. How are we able to then internally be able to deliver the product and make a sale through those channels? I think it is those structures that we need to put in place.
Okay. So back to our earlier discussions of B2B and B2C. Oops. Especially at the beginning of the life cycle of an organization, you need to make sure that every minute that you invest in the business is bringing the most value, right? So would the channels of Facebook actually be the one that would help you to actually, close these deals? Or let's say if you wanted to focus more on the B2B health facility as these being your star clients, right? You need to go for another channels. And actually, you know what? Maybe that's something that we need to think of in terms of market segmentation. And because maybe that once we segment the markets, we will have a better idea about channels exactly work better for the different customers.
Yes.
Okay, give me a second. So have you heard of the probably I can't remember who said that you did an MBA. I think it was you, Sam, who said you did an MBA. So
Robert.
Oh, it was Robert. Okay. So do you remember, Robert?
Both of us.
Oh, both of you. So do you remember this concept of STP, so segmentation, targeting, positioning?
Yes, vaguely.
Yeah. So actually, let me. I'm deviating a little bit, from the flow of the presentation, but let me share here something else here. So I was just, typing that, on Google. So STP. So that's basically one of the basic marketing concept, but I think it is quite powerful. So this is the idea of first, identifying market segmentation, which will be defined by the important characteristics of each market segment. So it would give you a broad view of the universe of customers, right? Now, within this universe of customers, you don't want to go for everyone, especially in your case, you go for specific targets, right? So then we need to evaluate the potential and commercial attractiveness of each segment and select one or more segments. But then it needs to be a deliberate choice where you say, look, we're going to focus here because of reason X, Y, Z. And based on those segments, then you define your positioning. And that's looping back to your question about can we have different value proposition? Yes. So let's say in the broad market segment of everybody who wants or need, to buy cleaning products, there are some business segments, some consumer segments. And for the business segments, we may say we want to select the segment A and B, and then in consumer, something totally different. You could have two very different product positioning.
Right.
So maybe what we can do is, just try to take a very pragmatic approach today to, start with this. But you may want to, after this call, go back and go back to this concept, read about it a bit more, to refresh your memory, because it's also a bit far, for me, to be honest. And then, reflect on what we're creating today and see whether it makes sense and whether you can bring some more structure to it.
So, what did you call it? STP? What did you call it?
Yeah, STP is segmentation. So actually, you have it here: segmentation, targeting, positioning.
All right.
Okay, I'm just going to put that on the slide as well. So yeah. Then I will add the link as well to the slide here.
Okay.
So here, segmentation, targeting. Yeah. All right. So, okay, so let's maybe give this some thoughts, and we can build some assumptions that you'll have to try to verify afterwards. So in terms of customer segments, what we're saying is segment 1 would be B2B, needs or that consume high quantity of cleaning products, e.g. health facilities. Yeah. What could be your second segment?
Validation of consumer quality. quantity. Yeah. By the way, yeah, e.g. health facilities, and we have cleaning organizations, you know, like car washes, like those, right? Businesses, yeah. Right. Then the next one would be yeah, how would we call, say, organizations such as non-governmental organizations, people who are in the, yeah, who want to support or to help, who help, or
Yeah. Local communities.
Communities, yes.
Yeah. Good. And maybe just to complete the picture with the B2C that we're speaking about, then, I mean, you could have, let's say, B2C. On the two extremes, you'd have, let's say, even like local communities who want to help, yeah, the community members want to help local. Sorry, what did you say? Local enterprise?
Local enterprise.
Yeah, enterprise. Yeah, and then you'd have the so local community members who want to help local enterprise, and the other one I was thinking was more of these niche markets, right? So the niche of I would say consumer with higher how to say higher revenue who wants to contribute to local communities. Yeah. What I was trying to do here is think of how do we prioritize those customers. So there are several ways we can do it. One is to look at the volumes versus price, right? And the other one is actually to look at, let's say, expected profitability, right? Or
how about ease of access?
Yeah, exactly. Versus ease of access. Ease of access, or let's say, ease to sell, right? I like this one better because, the profit is already like taking the volume and price into account. So, actually, I don't know. Do you have a preference here?
No, let's just go with that.
Or actually, we could have the three elements. Let's put it like this, and ease of access, and then we'll what we can do is, let's say, so okay, here is an ID. So volume that we'll put on this axis here. Okay. Then you have price. Here, and then the color that we're going to put is going to define the ease of access. So here, actually, let me put it like this. like this. This one would be green. This one would be yellow, and that one would be red. Yeah, and this one is actually just do one thing. So formatted the object, check. Easy to access. Okay. This one would be, yeah, accessible, but not easily. And the last one would be the hard one to access. Yeah. Could that work?
Yes.
And then we say, okay, where would we fit our customer segment 1 in this?
Organizations that consume high quantity.
So probably, yeah, on the high quantity, right? And then from what we said, probably on the lower price, right?
Let me just understand it. Yeah, to segment 1.
Yeah.
Consuming high quantity.
Yes.
But low price, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what I would assume. So high quantity, fairly low price. From what you said, they would buy it for more like around 100 shilling rather than more expensive than that, right? How is it in terms of access? Are they easy to access or not?
Let me say, yeah, they're not. Yes, they're easy to get. Yeah, easy to access.
Yeah.
As to whether, I mean, yeah, of course, access here means, their readiness to convert from wherever to move from their existing suppliers. Huh?
Yeah.
But I think that can we say that they are accessible but not easily? Because they may be accessible, but there's giving them a good reason to move from their current suppliers.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, maybe we put them as yellow. And also all of this is relative, right? So would actually the NGOs who want to support local community be more accessible?
Yes.
Yeah. So then maybe they have a bit less volume because they have less needs, right? But those ones would be green. Oh, sorry, segment 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy access.
Now on the customer 3.
Segment 3.
Yeah.
Local community members who want to help local enterprise. Now, those are easy to access.
Yeah.
But price.
Yeah, is probably on the low end, right?
Low end. Well, now, segment 2 may be able to pay a higher price.
Okay. So around here, you think?
Somewhere there.
Right. And this one here. So I would say lower volume and lower
lower price, yeah.
Yeah. Right. And then customer segment 4. So
niche.
So this one would be the price.
Yes. Yeah. And it could be, even the volumes may be high.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
If we manage to really unlock the opportunity, the volumes could be high.
Yes.
One is probably the harder one to access, right? Because for this, you need to have already identified distribution channels that would work and have found also like a marketing positioning that goes from your messaging, but also like your packaging and building the brand awareness that people would be willing to pay for it. Because I think for these ones here, 1, 2, and 3, you will have people speaking about the product, right?
Yes.
For segment 4, if that's something really like a retail business where people go in the shop and they're just looking at the products and they have to take the one on the right side or on the left side, then when they make this choice of taking your product, they will do it because they know they've heard of it somewhere and they have an image of what this product is about, right? But to build this image is actually quite intensive in terms of marketing investment. Unless if you can really get the distributor, so the retail person, to sell that product for you, but then I think again it's a little bit more difficult to make.
It is. I mean, I was just thinking about that as you were talking, because then the barrier is the retail, I mean, the supermarket or what is it that would make them actually have your product on their shelves?
Yeah.
So we may need to look at some parallel channels, some some alternative channels.
So what could that be? The alternative channels?
Well, I'm just thinking that, for example, where do the decision makers in these organizations, where do they, are there certain activities that they have? Are there certain forums that they attend, which would be our opportunity to market the products? And then we would have to then see how the products can be delivered, because a typical supermarket, for them to give you shelf space,
yeah,
it's not easy.
No, and I think it would be a lost battle, because honestly, if you're competing against the Unilever and so on of these worlds, you never get competitive there, right? So I think the end goal of and again, I don't know what's the distribution systems in Kenya, but if there are some specific. So I'll tell you about the retail system here in Europe, and I'll tell you, an example of different positioning. So we have a group called Aldi, and they are doing hard discounts. So basically, Aldi, when you go to Aldi or Lidl, when you go there, there's like barely any marketing, right? It's also almost like a warehouse, and you go there and you know you're going to get cheap price, reasonable quality, but very cheap price because there is no, you know, bells and whistles, you know, that are just here to appeal to your emotion, right? On the other hand, there are the French supermarkets where here everything is there to seduce you. So, you know, the vegetables, they have some, you know, little how to say, steam that is going on them, you know. They put special lights on the tomato so the tomato look more red than they are.
Yeah.
And so on. But all of this actually, you know, costs money. But then, you know, all the products are more expensive. But when you go there, you know, you have this perception that you're buying something of higher quality because, you know, the setup is very different, right? And then there are like other retailers which are everything for, let's say, biologic and you know, local, supporting local communities and so on. And when you go to there, you know, they don't give you plastic bags because, you know, it's bad for the environment. They will sell you things without packaging, and so on and so forth, right? So if they are, you know, let's say the equivalent of this third retailer that I was mentioning, where, you know, the people who are building this business, they're not building it necessarily just to make money, but they're building it, you know, for a, like, again, you know, a greater good, you know, because they want, you know, they have a cause that they want to defend. Then in those niche retail, you may have a chance, you know, to compete because they won't ask you for 60 days of credit, right? They will, you know, ask you to make sure that the product is of good quality and supporting local business.
Right. I think we can, there are various versions of those channels here.
Yeah.
Yes, there are. Of course, smaller.
Yeah.
But I think we can brainstorm to look at I'm just wondering, you know, that it may, you know, if we had a appropriate marketing communication, yeah, then we should be able to reach these customers directly rather than through these traditional channels, you know. How can we, how much can we do by having our products on social media shelves rather than on physical shelves in supermarkets? I'm just struggling with that.
Yeah. So what is the buying behavior in Kenya? Do people do their shopping on social media?
There's quite a lot of that happening now. It's actually growing quite significantly. Yeah. You know, just buying, you know, things off what, Facebook or Instagram or even TikTok.
And would that be that type of customer segment?
Probably not, you know, probably not segment 4, maybe not, you know.
Yeah.
That is more like the B2C type.
Yeah. I see what you mean. I mean, it would still be B2C, but my question is, you know, would these people who have, let's say, you know, more money to spend, you know, 200 shilling, you know, on a detergent,
yeah,
where would these people go to buy their product, right?
product.
That's a question, you need to investigate, and then you see what channels actually you may need to take, for this. Maybe just
that can have our homework.
Yeah, exactly. And here we're brainstorming, right? So all of this, is to still be challenged and thought through after this meeting. So what I want to say, so in this segmentation, targeting, and positioning question, so now we've identified 4 segments. If you had to prioritize 2 segments, which one would it be?
The fact of it being green
Yeah,
means that it's a lower hanging fruit, doesn't it?
exactly. Exactly. I think that's the thing that we need to think of, which is which one can we get with, minimal investment.
Yes.
So I think the segment 3 is the one that you're currently already on, right? That's the one where people buy from you, from word of mouth, right? And this is something that is, developing almost, let's say, by itself. The segment 2 may be one that you want to investigate with a strategic intention to working on the segment 1 as well, right?
Yeah.
So these 2 are your B2B business. Back to what you were telling me, that you have some members who are salespeople.
Yes.
That's where you can maybe train those members to understand what are the needs of the segment 1 and 2, and see how they can go and sell to this segment 1 and 2. Because here there will be some repeat business, there will be some high volumes, which would allow you to start generating some revenue to maybe, more in the medium or longer term, think about how you invest for segment 4.
Right.
I think, thinking of those different segments, I mean, the segment 4 is, it's the sexy one, right? It's the one that we all dream of, when we're like, I'd like to have my product on the shelf of a supermarket, and I'd like, this to be sold, for a high price because the product is valued and so on. But I also think, that's probably the hardest one, and depending on the distribution channel, may not be the one where you get the highest margin either, because maybe at the end of the day, the consumer will pay a high price for this, but the distributor will actually take, his share, which will then reduce actually your profit, right? And maybe for segment 4 to be profitable, you need to have, a lot of volumes. Well, actually, if you manage to close, let's say, one deal with one hospital, to what we were saying earlier, it's already 1,800 per week. Right? If you manage to close, let's say, one deal with an NGO, it may be, I don't know, 800 or 1,000 per week.
Right.
Well, here, closing a deal with a distributor, I don't know how much that's going to be. I mean, it would depend on the distributor, on how many customers they have, how much you can sell the product for, and so on. But
the volumes would be higher, the price would be, I think just the fact that they're hard to access, I think that really is what we need to consider then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So with this, we need people to work out the sort of estimated volumes, huh?
Yeah, and maybe also do a bit of I mean, first of all, sleep over it and think about this. I think the whole intent of this exercise is to see who should be your priority customers and who should be the customers that you go, as a highest priority, medium, and low priority. And you have to make those decisions to make sure that you're not investing time on the low priority customers, because that's not what's going to be, the most profitable one.
Okay.
Yeah. And once you've identified which customers you want to target, then you can work out your positioning. So here we've done the segmentation. What we can do then is, let's say, I'm just going to put something as a suggestion, right? But you could say, okay, these two are strategic targets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you may have this one, which will be more of a opportunistic target that, is great, if you can sell there, but it's not necessarily a business that you're trying to develop. I don't know. Again, that's maybe actually there is more optimization to be done here. Opportunistic target. I'll put a question mark here. Yeah. And then the other one would be the aspirational target. Yeah.
Right.
And now that you have, this targeting, you could say, okay, the next question is, so how do I position so what is my value proposition for this target, right? So actually, let me put it like this. Question is, what is my value proposition for this target? And then you can, maybe refine a little bit what we've worked on here, and go for another round and work on the channels and the rest of it as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Is check. All right. Is that helpful?
Yes, it is. Extremely helpful.
Great. Really happy, and yeah, I saw those logo of the Tendo bleach and so on, in the back. Actually, that's quite to see concretely how it looks like.
Yeah, well, actually, we need to update those. We rebranded.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to market, got some feedback, and we've rebranded. We have some new branding, so I think we will also share that with you, just for you to get a perspective.
That is good. That's good. Yes, please, send that over. I'd be really happy to look at it. Great. So yeah, I think the question is how do we move forward from here? So first of all, I'm happy that this session was helpful. We didn't cover the rest of the business model canvas, so I'll probably leave you to to use it if you think it's useful. At the end, I think it's always quite helpful to crystallize what really we're trying to do. It takes several iterations again to the first idea is never the perfect one, but after a couple of iterations you can refine it. And yeah, and then it helps you to steer your business with more clarity. As I said, I really enjoyed that session, so I would actually be happy to have a follow-up sessions. I cannot promise that I have a lot of time on two regular basis, but I would actually be happy to have a follow-up session and see how things are evolving, and then we can probably take it from there.
All right, I think that was lucky for us that the other group didn't show up.
Exactly. It makes it like more tailor-made, right?
Yeah.
And also for me, as a facilitator, it's much easier to manage one business ID, one optimization, rather than trying to manage, different groups that are working in silos and so on.
Yeah. All right. So we will use this. What we would want to know is, for example, arising from this discussion, is it okay to, send you some, an email just to bounce things off you?
Yeah.
Yeah. But if we need if there's a need for a follow-up session, I suppose that we would have to organize through Manuela.
Yeah. I mean, I'll reconnect with her to see how we could do that, right? But yeah, I think we can be quite pragmatic, and I don't see why Manuela would be opposed to anything like this. So I can catch up with her after this call, and then we'll we'll find a solution. So that's for sure.
Please do that. I think we were really at the point where we needed something like this. It's just like you said, God sent that this opportunity came today, because we have, we're having discussions even as recently as yesterday, about, what exactly is our value proposition, and we've been, trying to figure it out, and the idea of having multiple value propositions, which now with this session allows us to do this segmentation, and we can then be very focused in terms of which market segment do we approach with which communication.
Yeah. Perfect. Sam, actually, do you want to drop me your email address on the chat, so then I can also share the slides with you, and you have them available just now. Yeah, I mean, again, be aware that the session originally was, I mean, the slides were organized for a different setup, right? But I think you'll recognize the slides that we discussed.
I fully understand that. And of course, you're going to share the canvas with us, all that, yeah.
Yeah. I'll share with you the slides that we've just worked on right now. So if I have your email address, I can do that just now. So then it's super brilliant. All right, good. So yeah, was a pleasure getting to know you guys. I've learned about your business. I've learned that Kenya is a big rugby nation. So I'll also look at what are the tournaments in Africa, and yeah, see, I think Ivory Coast is another big team, right?
Yeah, Côte d'Ivoire, of course, South Africa.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, South Africa. Yeah, we needless to say, I still am crying because I was actually in the stadium when we lost for the quarterfinal of the World Cup. It was in France, so I was in the stadium, and I still, yeah, I'm still crying from it.
Yeah, it was. Well, we celebrated, but I'm sure you are not very happy.
No, but it was so close, it was so close, and
Yeah.
I watched the game like over and over again afterwards. But South Africa deserved it. They've beat like all the big nations by 1 or 2 points, in the last 3 games.
They just managed to go through that extra energy. Yeah?
Exactly, and at this level, it's where details just make a whole difference. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Enjoy your lunch if you're going for lunch now. So Patrick, was nice meeting you.
All right.
Yes.
Maybe I'd say nous vous remercions.
Nous vous remercions avec plaisir.
Avec
Avec
votre
plaisir.
présentation.
Avec plaisir. Merci à vous.
Merci. À bientôt.
Thanks, Robert, and thanks Cindy and Kevin as well for listening in.
All right.
Thank you as well.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Au revoir.
Bye.
Au revoir.